All right, now, to hear a little bit more about BT's involvement, we're going to invite to the stage now Chris Clark, who's the Chief Executive of BT here in Ireland, and we're also going to invite with Chris our very special guest today for the opening ceremony, that is Taoiseach Mary Coughlan. So please welcome Chris and Mary. Hi, Chris. How are you? Mind the cameras, you're very welcome.
Nice to see you again.
Taoiseach, lovely to see you, very welcome.
Taoiseach, nice to see you.
Well, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all of you. I probably can't explain how delighted we are as the organisers that we are all in this room here today, because it was only a few days ago where, for very obvious reasons, that felt like it might not happen. So really, a couple of things I wanted to say. Firstly, thank you all very much for travelling through rain, snow, ice, floods, right across the island and making it here today. And whether I believe it or not, I'm told the first school in this morning was amazingly from Donegal at 8:50 this morning. We should bear in mind, though, there are a small number of schools that haven't made it today, and I think we should all bear a thought for them. That said, most said that they will come in tomorrow, so we will be flexible with judging. This year, I think for another reason, for us at BT, this year is particularly special. Without getting into a party political broadcast, there is no doubt 2009 is a year for all of us, whatever we do. And in fact, frankly, wherever we live around the world has been incredibly tough. But what's that got to do with this event? When the late Father Tom Burke and Dr. Tony Scott, who's in this room today, came up with this idea of a science fair way back in 1963, there's a very simple reason why. They wanted to make science more open to young people and fun. Why? Because there's a strong belief that Tony and Tom had was by doing so, will encourage more young people to study science, which had to be good for Ireland all those years ago. Fast forward, we're in 2010. As someone that works for and in a large global multinational company, I can tell you very confidently that once we get through the current challenges, which we will, there is no doubt in my mind that the vast majority of jobs in 10 years' time will be based on the skills of science, technology, engineering and maths. And that's why Tony and the late Father Tom's vision 8 years ago is even more important, I believe, now than ever before. So I've got one simple message for all of you. Study sciences and engineering in either tertiary or university, and you will have a bright future. A couple of other points I just wanted to make. As ever, events like this can't possibly happen without immense support. So I wanted to say a few thank yous, and also highlight a few new things. Firstly, of course, and it's already been covered to some degree, thank you all to all of our sponsors and partners, notably Analog Devices, Discover Science and Engineering, Intel, RTE, the Department of Science and Education here in the Republic, and actually the Department of Education in Northern Ireland. I want to thank all of our judges. There's over 80 judges from the worlds of academia and business, and actually from around the world, who will be your heroes and friends by the end of the week, although it might not feel it during the beginning of the week. I want to thank all the teachers, particularly this year, for making sure that we can bring all the schools and projects to the RDS today. And of course, as always, I want to thank everyone dressed in red. For those of you who don't know, and I think we've just heard, they're all BT employees who should be at work doing proper jobs, but actually are probably having the time of their lives. So thank you all to them. And last but not least, thank all of you for entering your projects, getting them done, but most importantly, getting through treacherous conditions to make it here. A couple of new things. We've got new exhibits, we've got new schools entered, we've got new judges, new teachers, new participants, but there's also 2 new prizes this year. Firstly, there's a dedicated prize for the best entry for Northern Ireland. And secondly, as I'm sure some of you know, this year we've introduced a new programme called the Business of Science, where 40 of you will be selected over the course of the next few days, and it will be announced later in the month, to go into a small programme for business mentoring. Because I'm sure, as a number of you have seen in the media over the last few days, Our good friends from Restored Hearing, who came second or runners-up last year, have now created their own company. And of course, I'm sure most of you have heard of this gentleman called Patrick Collinson, who won 5 years ago now and sold his company for several million euros just a few years ago. So the path of that program is to create a few more Patricks, and who knows, the next Google, the next global pharmaceutical company. So I hope you'll enjoy receiving those prizes, and I look forward to certainly being back here Friday, handing many of them out. Lastly,